This is what Sendy Bikes was supposed to be about. Bikes that aren't boring. Bikes that beg to be ridden. Bikes that make your heart beat a little faster just by looking at them. Bikes that are Sendy as I try to learn something new every time I build a bike. And like a monkey's paw wish, I always learn something new every time I build a bike. But this one taught me some stuff I really didn't want to learn. Welcome to the first episode of Sendy Custom Shop, where I'm sharing my experiences running a shop to build and paint custom bikes out of my garage. Sendy started essentially as a joke. I wanted to build myself a bike that just screamed neon 80s attitude, and I was going to call it the Sendy Lopper, because no one in the recent history of bicycles has thought of an 80s throwback paint scheme before. Yeah, okay, so no points for originality. I just wanted a cool full suspension bike with a loud, fun, funky retro paint job, but I wasn't about to spend thousands of dollars to make it happen. So I chose the DIY route. I mean, I am a YouTube certified bicycle technician, and I've seen Old Shovel do this on videos. How hard could it be? So I found an inexpensive open mold carbon frame online, which is like basically the open source version of carbon frames. Super awesome. No R&D, just do the execution, frame acquired. I told some friends and family about this incredibly stupid idea I had to name a bike the Sendy Lopper, but they actually wound me up about it. Oh, I want a Cindy Crawford. Oh, make me a Sendyrella. And this sparked something in me. I thought, wait, maybe this could be like an actual thing. I could just see a bike park full of people ripping party laps on Sendys. And after watching dozens of YouTube videos from Old Shovel, I was feeling ready to teach myself to spray rattle can paint jobs on bikes. My very first custom paint job, I was shocked at how good a result I was starting to get. And then. By this point, I had built the entire bike up, but the finish wasn't quite perfect. And like a true rookie, I thought I could do better with just a little bit more work. I decided to wet sand the clear coat. And then I realized to my horror that I had just sprayed the bike not with water, but with 100% alcohol. And I watched the colors and the finish literally melt off the bike. I tried to cover it up with some touch-up paint and then a bunch of vinyl wrap, but then up close it just looked like a bunch of used Band-Aids. My heart absolutely sank. But my brother loved it. Can I take it home? Everybody's gonna want one. He went around showing this thing I was embarrassed of to everyone, telling them this is the kind of wild style you could get with a Sendy bike. So I tried again. The next bike went better, almost professional, and after that, I kept going. The paint jobs started getting better and better. And at a certain point, I knew I'd hit the limits of what I can personally do with rattle cans. I started watching videos on using spray guns and automotive paint to paint bikes from creators like ETOE. Well, with another YouTube certification under my belt, I upgraded to spray guns. I was a rootin' tootin' spray gun cowboy. My first attempt with pro-level equipment was on a Cannondale, and I painted in what I thought was black, but it turned out to be better, this deep metallic black currant purple. It wasn't perfect, but it came out so well with so much less fuss that I fell in love with the process of painting all over again. But here's where things started getting confusing for me and a little complicated. The idea of Sendy was getting more and more real to me. Like it was something I thought maybe I could scale up. I'd gotten in contact with a manufacturing partner in China who could paint frames for me. The same exact open mold carbon frames I'd been painting at home, only with higher quality paint jobs for less money than I was spending on the paint alone. So I ordered a test frame. And what they sent back actually looked incredible. It was super professional, clean, factory perfect. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's where I had to make a choice. Was a Sendy bike a thing I make or a thing I buy? Well, at the time, it was too exciting to know that I could just turn up the scale knob with a quick message on WhatsApp. So I chose buy, and I kept going. I ordered another frame and another and another, and I started sinking real money into this dream of building a bike brand. I was accruing inventory. My goal was modest, turn out a dozen or so bikes a year, break even, try to make my hobby pay for itself. If it grows, hey, great news. But for anyone besides friends and family to buy these, I had to make Sendy look like more than a one-person shop. I had to make it look like a real bike brand. So I set up a website, and I had a photographer friend of mine get some pro-quality photos of my first couple of builds. But here's the thing about real bike brands. They actually have responsibility. A broken bike could be financially disastrous. Worse, it could hurt somebody. I was confident in the frames that my partners were manufacturing, but I was not confident in my ability to run any kind of post-sale support. but I ignored that at the time because what I had been focusing on was that I wanted to be the guy with a bike brand. A few bikes in, I got bold and asked for a truly pro-level paint job from my partners in China. They have a nice VPP Santa Cruz style frame. Let's do a classy paint job like they do. 6 weeks later, the frame came to me, already painted. It looked incredible by all accounts. Ice cracked metallic red and gold. The goal was for it to look and ride like a Santa Cruz, but that costs thousands of dollars less. The weird thing is, this actually worked. As I built it up, installed the shock, ran the cables, set up the drivetrain, I was feeling so proud, like this bike looked every bit as good as a high-dollar Santa Cruz and it was gonna ride great. But once it was built up and photographed, I realized I hated this. It wasn't for me. It wasn't me at all. Not the bike. The bike was beautiful, but I didn't make it beautiful. Somebody else did. This talented artisan halfway around the world that I've never met and whose name I don't even know. I just bought it, waited 6 weeks, opened a box, and then bolted a bunch of parts to it. I realized at that point I wasn't building bikes, I was assembling a product and service of a brand that existed hang on. What was I doing here again exactly? Why the was I doing this? A close friend of mine called me out on this, and it caused me to pause and reflect. And I'm going to share something with you that makes me squirm, even now as I say this. In my life, I have turned every single hobby into a hustle. Every hustle has to be big. When I ran a small business of 10 people, I took so much pride in the fact that almost everyone assumed it was 5 to 10 times larger than that. Hey, look at big business boy Brandon. A friend of mine took her custom Sendy into a bike shop and the mechanic said, "Hey, it's a Sendy. Mission accomplished." Oh, me? I just run a business you might have heard of. That's how I know I simply must have value. That's how I was raised, and when I'm not paying attention, how I function by default. And I was trying to build a bike brand, not because I wanted to run a bike brand, but because I was chasing someone else's dream. Someone it turns out I don't have a relationship with anymore. Someone I don't even respect. So congratulations to me, right? I've had this big epiphany. Isn't it great that I'm just better now?
It smiled at me. I'm not a piece of shit. I used to be. People can change.
I'm not saying I used to be a huge piece of shit. I'm also not saying I didn't. I'm saying I'm still teasing apart what I actually want from what I think I'm supposed to want. And that work means actively setting aside a lot of ideas and habits that make me feel valuable or safe. It means stepping into discomfort and letting my own heart and the advice of therapists and the advice of friends who care guide me toward things that actually resonate with me deeply instead of things that just make me feel important. This is what I actually want to be doing. Not picking from a menu of colors, waiting 6 weeks, and assembling frames that I sell to people with the promise that it's just like a big name brand, not to pretend to be a big name brand. I want to learn and practice a craft. Who am I kidding? I want to learn and practice many concurrent crafts. I want to screw up clear coats and then learn how to fix them, to hone my own taste and experience the limits of my skill. I want to experiment with masking techniques and fades until I'm doing things that vibrate with energy. I want to take a frame that somebody throws away, strip it down, and make it into something that makes someone's heart race when they see it at the bike co-op. I know that's an achievable goal because I've already done it a few times and it brings me the same joy each time. For all the personal anguish I went through, this bike had a happy ending. It found a home along with another Sendy with a very lovely couple who are out there actually sending it. That's the best case scenario, and I hope they're delighted every time they ride. I'll still be here to take care of those bikes, but I don't need to make them anymore. I don't want to be a bike brand. I want to feel the joy of making things. For all the copying of old Shovel's techniques, I'd missed his point about giving old things new life. My goal is even more human-centered. I want to connect people to more joy through bikes, and I want to connect directly to more people for myself through bikes, and maybe even take some joy off the table. And it took me way too long, and oh my God, way too much money to realize that those are completely different things. I ought to note something here. I am extremely lucky. I have a day job. I don't need that big bike brand to pay my bills. But a lot of people in the bike industry right now aren't that lucky. Shops are closing, brands are struggling. I've spent time with many of them, good people with the same dream who, due to the current economy in the bike industry, are having to figure out what that dream even means for them now. If you love bikes, please support your local shops. Buy from the small builders who are doing this because they love it. If you're in Colorado, I'm actually happy to connect you with the people who build exciting and unique bikes. As for Sendy, it's time to put Sendy bikes to bed. Sendy Custom Shop is still here. It's small, it's real, and it's just me. Hi, I'm Brandon. I'm still building up and restoring bikes. Bikes that beg to be ridden, built by somebody who wants to build them, painted by somebody who has impeccably high standards. And as far as skill, well, I'm working on it. If you want to stick with me on my journey, I can only promise that I'll be honest and share what I learned. Sendy Custom Shop gets to pursue the reason I wanted to do this in the first place. No more boring bikes. And I'm going to send it.